people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
De la noche, Stephanie Piñeiro.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that Denmark's own former IBF featherweight champion Sarah Mahfoud is set to return to action very soon in October opposite the ring seasoned veteran Danilo Ramos of Brazil. Sarah's coming off that lopsided loss to Sky Nicholson for what was the vacant WBC title. It appears that Sarah isn't wasting any time getting back in the winner's bracket. Though being honest with you, this isn't a gimme fight, and it's not a given that Sarah wins. This is supposed to be for a lesser version of a WBO title, the WBO International Featherweight title. It appears that Sarah's going the WBO route. Sarah Mahfoud, who's 35 years old, to Danilo Ramos, who's 39. This fight is set to go down in Sarah's neck of the woods in Denmark. Sarah Mahfoud will be the house fighter and the hometown fighter, sporting a professional record of 14 wins with 2 losses, no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 16 professional bouts. To Danilo Ramos, who sports a professional record of 13 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout, having never been knocked out in 16 professional bouts. Danila, who was in action not that long ago in October of last year opposite the ring Amanda Serrano, she lost that fight, lost a lopsided decision. She has since rebounded off that loss earlier this year on the 10th against Ellie Munoz, won a unanimous decision. Now she's fighting Sarah Mahfoud. Danila's coming off a win, Sarah's coming off a loss. Sarah's coming off that lopsided decision loss to Sky Nicholson earlier this year in April. This will be her second fight of this year, so she ain't got no ring rust to shake off. Neither of them do. At least 2 common opponents between them, 2 common opponents between the two. Brenda Karen Carbajal, Amanda Serrano, they both beat Brenda and they both lost to Amanda. Now they're fighting each other. Similarities as well. There are similarities between them that they're both long and limber fighters that can make themselves moving targets, using the ring, moving around. That's the strategy they both used when opposite the ring. Amanda Serrano, just moving around and trying to survive. That's what they both did with Amanda. Now, with each other, the situation is a little different because neither Sarah or Danila are all that big punchers. They're not really big punchers or knockout merchants. So perhaps against each other, they'll take the chances they didn't take when they both fought Amanda. Maybe. Somebody has to press the issue here. Somebody has to be the aggressor. Danila Ramos perhaps more so than Sarah because Danila's going to be the away fighter. She's going to be fighting on foreign soil. She can't expect to win a decision just hanging back and being defensive. She's not the hometown fighter. She ain't got home field advantage. You do that, that's a sure way to lose this fight. Maybe she's the one that's got to come forward, press the issue, press the action, and take it to Sarah Mahfoud. She might have to. Opposite the ring, Sarah Mahfoud, who's on the bounce, on the rebound. There were easier options out there, I think. Easier choices than facing Danilo Ramos in a rebound fight, a comeback fight. But Sarah, she is ballsy. She is gutsy. She's a solid fighter. She made a solid choice in an opponent. Because they're so similar, Sarah and Danila, it's hard to say which one of them is going to be the aggressor and which one of them is going to be the defender. Somebody has to be. Set to go down October 12th in Denmark, and we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, more information on the Beterbiev versus Bivol fight and its undercard, a unique split. They may as well be 2 separate shows. Stevenson versus Cordinia is going to be a DAZN pay-per-view, where Beterbiev versus Bivol is going to be on ESPN Plus, as a regular fight. Shakur Stevenson will headline the October 12th Artur Beterbiev vs. Dmitry Bivol event on DAZN pay-per-view. The Beterbiev vs. Bivol light heavyweight undisputed championship fight will be shown in a split network fight on ESPN+. This is what they were going to do before Artur got injured. It didn't make sense then, and it makes even less sense now, that the undercard is basically a pay-per-view, and the main event, the fight that most people would be tuning in to see, oh, well, that's going to be free. Though, on a different platform. Fans will need to pay to see Shakur make a tune-up against Joe Cordina on DAZN pay-per-view, whereas Top Rank will show Beterbiev vs. Bivol undisputed as part of the normal subscription on ESPN+. That's not a pay-per-view. Technically, Shakur's fight against Joe Cordina will be on the Beterbiev vs. Bivol undercard at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's just that the Stevenson vs. Cordina fight and the remaining undercard fights will be chopped off and placed on DAZN pay-per-view, while the meat and potatoes, Beterbiev vs. Bivol, will be on ESPN+. This is what they were going to do before. Remember that Beterbiev vs. Bivol was supposed to go down on the same show as Matchroom vs. Queensberry, and the split was the same. The portion of the show that was Matchroom vs. Queensberry, that was going to be a pay-per-view, and Beterbiev vs. Bivol, even though it was the main event, it was going to be free and on another platform. That didn't make sense to me then. This makes even less sense to me now. So when they wanted to do Beterbiev vs. Bivol as the main event to Matchroom vs. Queensberry, the reason that didn't make sense to me, splitting them up the way that they did, is because Matchroom vs. Queensberry as a tournament is primarily geared towards a British audience. So you could do that as a pay-per-view in Britain, but not in America. It doesn't make sense to do it as a pay-per-view in America. Now, obviously, we all know that Artur ended up getting injured and his fight with Dmitry got pushed back, but they still went ahead and made Matchroom vs. Queensberry a pay-per-view in America. I loved the show, don't misunderstand me. I bought the pay-per-view and I enjoyed it, but the reason it didn't make sense to make that a pay-per-view in America is that is a British rivalry geared towards a British audience. If you're doing a tournament between Eddie's fighters and Frank's fighters, that entire rivalry, that's a British rivalry, not an American one. Most Americans aren't even aware of Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren's beef, their long-standing rivalry. So to put a paywall up, it's not a good idea. That's pay-per-view worthy to a British audience, not an American one. They should have gave that one away here in America as part of the regular DAZN schedule, as part of a regular DAZN subscription, and they didn't. So now they're doing it again, and it makes even less sense now than it did before, because when you look at this undercard, it's mostly international fighters. Wortley vs. Clark, for example, is a hot ticket in the UK, but not in the US. Chris Eubank Jr., Ben Whitaker, these are familiar faces to a British audience, but not an American one. So if you bill this as a pay-per-view, if you put up that paywall, how many Americans are you expecting to climb over it to pay to see it when the main event, it's going to be available at no additional charge on another platform? So what most Americans are going to end up doing is skipping the undercard, not paying for it, and just going to see the main event. You're limiting the size of the audience. How many eyes you can get on this fight, on this show. That's what you're doing. The market is already oversaturated with box office fights. This is one that they should have gave away, and I know that might sound self-serving, that might sound greedy, but they'll see. The buys in America for this pay-per-view are going to be abysmal. Abysmal enough that, you know what, you might as well have given it away. You could have used this as part of the regular schedule as a means to bolster subscriptions to DAZN. I'm talking about in America, not the UK. See, in the UK, you can bill the show in its entirety as a pay-per-view because there are many familiar faces on it on top of the main event, Beterbiev vs. Bivol. It's value for money. In the UK, you're getting Chris Eubank, you're getting Ben Whitaker, you're getting Wortley vs. Clark 2, and you're getting the undisputed light heavyweight title fight. In the UK, that's value for money. In the US, that's too expensive. We already pay more than the Brits do for a pay-per-view. We already pay more than them. about 2 to 3 times as much. The way to do it in America is you make that a part of the regular schedule for existing DAZN subscribers, and for non-subscribers who want to see it, they have to subscribe for a month. The cost to see the card is the same as a 1-month subscription to DAZN. And if you don't want it, you don't renew, you move on with your life. That's how they should have done it, because the way you guys are doing it, the people in America, the boxing fans in America, chunk of them, they're not buying that pay-per-view. They're going to skip the undercard and just tune into ESPN Plus for the main event. That's what they're going to do. I remember back in 2020, circa 2019-2020, Bob Arum said that he's going to keep as many fights off pay-per-view as possible. 4 close to 5 years later, he's made good on that promise. As top rank in ESPN, they don't put on as many pay-per-views as the PBC, as Matchroom. They don't. Nor should they. There's only so many times you can ask the boxing fans in America, who are already paying more than everybody else, to go into their wallets to watch a boxing match. Boxing is a poor man's sport. You guys are turning it into a luxury item. And that's why the audience for it is getting smaller. Smaller in America, I should say, because the UK is having a renaissance. So is the Asian boxing scene. And the Australian one in Mexico. They're not paying in Mexico for boxing what we pay for boxing. America, these guys are trying to squeeze blood out of a grape. It's not going to work. If you want to stimulate the boxing economy in America, you need less pay-per-views, not more. Less paywalls. Bill it as a pay-per-view in America. Not that many people are going to buy it, to the point to where you might as well have given it away. Yeah, I'm going to buy the show. I am, but I know that many of you out there, you're not. And I don't blame you. It's too many pay-per-views, too close together. It's too much. You guys up there, you've got to give the boxing fans a break. And finally, in men's super lightweight news, Eddie Hearn is targeting a December date for Liam Paro versus Devin Haney. What? Matchroom are hoping to make Liam Paro versus Devin Haney in Australia for December 7th. The junior welterweight division has been transformed throughout the course of 2024, owing to Garcia's victory over Haney that has since been overturned in April, and Paro's unexpected win over Subriel Matias 2 months later. Haney's defeat by Garcia has since been ruled a no contest on the grounds of the overweight Garcia testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs and subsequently being banned for 12 months. Retroactively. The WBC title the 25-year-old Haney entered the ring with that night is on course to be contested by Alberto Puello and Sandor Martin. But Paro has been promised a homecoming fight in his home country, and Matchroom's Eddie Hearn wants to tempt Haney to return there again, 2 years after he twice traveled there to defeat George Cambodia for the undisputed at lightweight. Those 2 victories, and those since then, over the great Vasyl Lomachenko and Regis Prograis, transformed Haney's career and profile to the extent that fighting in Australia may no longer carry the same appeal. But Hearn told Boxing Scene, it's a good fight. It's a fight that Devin thinks he can win. Obviously, he can come back. He's in recess with the WBC, so it's a unification, regaining a title fight. It's a fight that Liam would like as well. Devin's got a good profile in Australia with those 2 Cambodia fights, so it would be an option. I spoke to him Thursday night, and he says if the deal's right, I don't think he'd have a problem going. The plan for Liam Paro is to fight December 7th in Australia. That's the aim. We're in conversations with various state governments to hold Liam Paro's fight. Brisbane, Sydney, and Adelaide. There is still a chance the opponent could be Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis winner, but that's unlikely given the timing. I still would like to look at a fight between Devin Haney and Paro. It's not a bad fight. And if not Devin Haney, another contender in the division. The focus of Eddie's efforts seems to be getting Liam Paro that homecoming fight, and I do think he deserves it. He beat Montana Love on the road, became a champion on the road. Now he deserves a homecoming fight. The feeling I'm getting is that whether Devin Haney accepts this offer or not, Liam will be fighting at home in his next fight. December 7th, whether it's Devin Haney or someone else, he's fighting in Australia. I like the Cambodia fight for Liam Paro. Obviously, it's two Aussies. Kambosos has been at lightweight for a long time. That's a fight that could make sense. No major discussions, but it would be an interesting fight, says Eddie Hearn. George Cambodia is arguably 0-4 in his last 4 fights. 0-4. The 2 losses back-to-back to Devin Haney, what should have been a loss to Maxie Hughes, and the more recent knockout loss to Vasyl Lomachenko in Australia. He's arguably 0-4. Where Eddie Hearn thinks it would be interesting to put George in there with Liam, I think George needs to get back in the winner's bracket before that becomes a conversation. Hearn had obviously spoken of the winner of Jack Catterall versus Regis Prograis being installed as Paro's first challenger, but their fight being postponed from August to October makes it almost certain they will not be ready for December 7th. The promoter regardless has plans for another of his British fighters, the popular heavyweight Johnny Fisher, to feature on the undercard, and said that Australian Sky Nicholson and Jai Opataya, who respectively fight Raven Chapman and Jack Macy on October 12th, on the undercard of Beterbiev versus Bivol in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, could also fight on that show. He would definitely go on that Australia card as well, Hearn said of Fisher. He's actually got a really big following, him and his dad John, in Australia, so he'd be on. He wants Jai Opataya to be on that show, Johnny Fisher to be on that show, he wants Sky to be on that show. It's cutting it kind of close, ain't it? If Sky is fighting in October, you think she'll be able to fight again by December? She's fighting Raven Chapman in her next fight. You know she might lose that thing. Pending how Sky Nicholson gets on against Raven Chapman, she could be on that card as well. That would make sense. Justice Haney as well likely would be on that card. Maybe even Jai Opataya, pending on how he gets on October 12th, it could be a massive card. Let's say Jai Opataya does to Jack Macy what he did to Jordan Thompson, then yeah, I could see that. If he makes short work of a guy in a couple of rounds, don't get no cuts, bumps, or scrapes, I could see that. The same would apply to Sky Nicholson. If Sky Nicholson can do to Raven Chapman what she just did to Diana Vargas, beat her in lopsided fashion without no cuts, bumps, or scrapes, then I could see it, if it happens that way. The thing is, it may not happen that way. What about Devin? Mixed feelings as to whether or not I think Devin will go through with this, because while I was confident, supremely confident, that he could beat George, even if it's in Australia, I'm not as confident that he can do that to Liam. This is a bigger guy with a bigger punch at a higher weight. He's durable. The Subriel Matias fight in Puerto Rico is proof of that. He took that guy's best punches. He weathered his shots, and we all know Subriel punches harder than Devin. God bless Devin, but the kid can't crack an egg. He can't punch. Tack on the IBF's 10-pound rehydration cap. On IBF title fights, there's a 10-pound cap, and we all know that Devin rehydrates to well in excess of 10 pounds. Well past 10 pounds. The reason that wasn't a factor in the George Kambosos fight is because there was more than one alphabet title on the line. In those situations, the IBF waives the rehydration cap. But the only title on the line in this fight would be the IBF title. So Devin might be subject to that weight cap, and I'm not sure that he would go for that if all he can rehydrate to is 10 pounds on foreign soil as the away fighter, the challenger essentially, because he's not a champion going in. He's not bringing another belt for Liam to win. If they can make the fight, I like the fight. If they can make it, but with those things in mind, I question whether or not they'll be able to make it. Devin says if the deal is right. He's talking about the money. I'm left wondering what kind of money is he looking for? What does he expect to get paid after his last performance? He doesn't have a belt. He's not a champion, so what kind of money is it going to take to get him to Australia again?